In this video, we will be discussing rules, the National Mahjong League rules, and common house rules. Often, players might not even recognize that the rules they were taught are house rules and not official rules. To begin, let's get some basics out of the way. National Mahjong League rules are based on exactly 152 tiles, which include 8 jokers, 4 of each wind tile, 4 of each dragon, 8 flowers, 3 suits, Bam, Crack, and Dot, numbered 1 through 9, and there are 4 of each of those tiles. Each wall is comprised of exactly 19 double-tiered tiles. East rolls the dice to break the wall. Now we'll go through some NMJL rules and some common house rules. First, payment for throwing the winning tile. Under NMJL rules, the player that discards the winning tile pays double. All other players pay the value of the hand. Under some house rules, there is something called a hot tile. That tile is a tile that could be known to be needed for Mahjong. The player that discards this tile pays for the entire table, which is 4 times the value of the hand. Prior to playing, players in each group must define what they call a hot tile for their game. Under some house rules, a player pays when they cannot account for 3 of that tile, or they threw a discard to 2 or 3 exposures. See also below when we get to hot wall. Next, who gets the call discard? When 2 players call a discard, both for Mahjong or both for an exposure, the player next in line gets the discard, except when the other caller has begun to expose tiles. Many home games are unaware that the begun to expose exception is part of the rules, and answer that next in line always gets the tile. This should definitely be addressed prior to play. Is there a hot wall under NMJL rules? No. There is no hot wall and no cold wall. Payment is the same for the player that discards the winning tile no matter what part of the walls the game is in. Under house rules, tiles left over after the dice are rolled are often called the dice wall. In some games, this is called the hot wall, which penalizes a player for not playing defensively. If a player throws the winning tile during the hot wall, they pay for the table. Specifics vary by table rules. See also the column above for throwing the winning tile. Also, in NMJL rules, there is no cold wall. The NMJL provides for defensive play until the very last tile and recommends something called dogging tiles, which is breaking up your own hand to prevent another player from getting Mahjong. In some home games, the dice wall is also known as the cold wall. During this wall, any discard is a safe discard because a player cannot claim Mahjong. It must be self-picked. Playing with a cold wall greatly changes strategy of Mahjong play, since hot tiles can be saved and then safe to discard once you reach the cold wall. Now we're on to the Charleston. Under Mahjong League rules, stopping the Charleston can be done for any reason after the mandatory first Charleston. Under common house rules, some groups require that a player only stop the Charleston when they have 3 or less tiles to pass towards completing a specific hand. If they have a better or 5th player, that player can be used to confirm. But note, ordinarily Mahjong League rules provide that the better must remain silent. What about if you're playing with 3 players? Is there a Charleston? Under National Mahjong League rules, no, there's no Charleston. It is omitted. However, home games have various methods of doing a Charleston with 3 players. See our post, #ItAllAddsUp, in our Facebook group Mahjong community. We discuss how in a 4-player game, each player gets about 25 picks. In a 3-player game, you get an additional 12 picks, 37 picks, so that's why the Charleston is omitted. Placement of a call discard. The new rule in the 2023 bulletin says that a call tile must be placed on top of the rack. However, we have confirmed with the league that there is currently no penalty if this rule is not followed. House games should decide whether a player's hand would be called dead if they place a discard into the sloping portion of their rack first. This is definitely a rule to be discussed before play. Next, we're on how many tiles does each player get when playing by National Mahjong League rules. East takes 14, and every other player starts with 13. The back of the card also provides no picking or looking ahead. What are house rules on this? Well, some games play with 14 tiles in the rack for every player, or a future placed on top of the rack. The future, the 14th tile, is not in their hand until the next turn. The Mahjong League explicitly stated they will not answer questions about either of these styles of play. Now, many players often ask, what is a mush? So it is a common house rule where after the courtesy pass in the Charleston, players then place a certain number of tiles up to a certain number, face down on the table, the tiles are mixed, and then players take tiles back. Some games even add additional tiles from the wall, so there's a chance of getting new tiles or a joker. What about other hands that aren't on the card? The league does not recognize any other hands. A common house rule is a game called atomic. This hand may have been introduced by the pairs hands in Canasta. Atomic is a grouping of tiles with no flowers and no jokers. Players must announce that they are going atomic before the Charleston. Rules vary greatly and can include either 7 distinct pairs, multiple groupings of the same number, or even pungs and kongs. Rules vary whether a player can pick a flower or joker and discard it and still win an atomic hand. Finally, the payment for an atomic hand must be decided upon by the group before playing. Next, we're up to discussing pi, spelt many different ways in bulletins. P-I, P-I-E, P-Y. Some players think it's P-I-E for purse is empty. The NMJL answered that they believe pi is unfair. Basically, if a player is very lucky at the beginning of the game and has money, they will continue paying. However, an unlucky player or that doesn't win, they're out of money, so they don't need to pay. However, once they start getting paid, then they continue to pay. Some groups set a limit in house games for pi that each player can lose during the games. Once they are out of this predetermined amount, they don't pay unless they win. In some games, if they have pi and a hot wall, then those payments are not considered part of your pi and the player pays out of pocket. Next up, value of the hand. Under league rules, payment of the hand is based on the value of the card. A player is paid double by everyone if they have a self-picked hand and if they're jokerless at the end of the game. The winner is paid double by the player that discarded the winning tile. There is no jokerless bonus for singles and pairs wins. In addition to these bonuses, there are common house rules. Some players pay double payment based on rolling doubles, or if the group has a number of the day and that number is rolled, or if they have Mahjong dice and they roll a joker. Some players change the value of the card and pay a multiple of the entire card even before the bonuses, or may even move the decimal from 25 cents a hand to $2.50 a hand or even higher. Is there any payment for wall games under Mahjong League rules? No, the National Mahjong League does not provide payment for wall games. There are some house rules, however, where players pay into a kitty, usually a quarter or so, and this can be won in future games. House rules decide what is needed to be done in order to win the kitty. Some games, it's merely to win the next game, where other rules provide that it must be a jokerless hand or a hand in a predetermined section of the card, such as singles, pairs, years, or quint. Players can also choose to save the kitty. Some groups use it to have a group night out, or maybe even donate it to a charity. Next, Dealing. The National Mahjong League provides that each player takes their own tiles. Some groups have East deal. They believe this might be faster. However, unless there's a reason that this needs to be done, player beware. If a tile is knocked over by the dealer, it does not get buried in the wall, so other players may have seen your tile. Also, some players do not like when someone touches their tiles. Have you heard of a boom joker? Under National Mahjong League rules, there are 152 tiles, which include 8 jokers. A house rule is that one of these jokers is removed and replaced with a joker called a boom joker. If a player wins with a boom joker, they are paid an extra dollar from each player. A player may hold back from calling and exposing since the boom joker can be exchanged. Since house rules greatly vary from NMJL rules and vary from table to table, we recommend that you discuss house rules before play. Join us on Facebook Mahjong Community. And we appreciate you visiting our small women-owned business website, modernmahjong.com. We have plenty of other fun and interesting YouTube videos for you to watch, so please like and subscribe, and best of luck at your Mahjong games. Thanks for listening and watching.